Here's what Dave Aranda is calling a horrible failure on this 2025 Baylor football team. How can they fix this?
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by FanDuel and part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. It's a day of the week that we like to call Wicker Wednesday. Sydney Wicker of KCEN Channel 6, the Wick Dog, which I don't think I've used the last two shows, Sydney, so it's got to come back a little bit. The Wick Dog is back to talk a lot of Baylor football. We're going to talk about what Dave Aranda has called a horrible failure. That's direct words from Dave Aranda. Horrible failure so far this year, and how the Bears can fix that going forward, or if they can. Plus, we will go, of course, through the winners and the losers of the Big 12 this week. And will we see some more glimpses of Baylor's future? This is a very veteran-laden team, but some of the seeds of the last two excellent recruiting classes are starting to be sowed. Starting to grow in this Baylor football team. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. But Sydney, we start where we start, and I need you to hold on to your hat for this one. Baylor defense not been terrific so far. Is that fair to say?
Very valid, very fair.
I don't think that's too harsh. It does feel weird, kind of picking apart an 18-point victory, but the defense just wasn't stout in this game at all. I know they pitched, I think, a fourth quarter shutout, and look, there's something to be said for that, because the last time they did that, where they had a bad game, but they really rallied at the end, they ended up winning the game at SMU. So they're 2-0 in games where they rally and shut a team out in the fourth quarter, or at least most of the fourth quarter. But this has just been a constant struggle. And, we talked about it at the end of last week's game, Sydney, of how much the defense stepped up against Arizona State. The yardage numbers wasn't great, but they really made a lot of plays and kept them in that game. It's disappointing to see what we saw against Oklahoma State a week after how they played against Arizona State, especially.
Yeah, I honestly think you said it best a couple weeks ago, Cam. It seems like the defense just continued to take a step backwards. I was watching I think it was your podcast after the game. And Dave Aranda talked about that after the Arizona State game. You finally have the defense take a step forward, and then the offense falls back a little bit. It's literally just about the basics of coming together and making it all mesh. And yet again, that seemed to be an issue. And I really was hoping to see the defense take another step forward just after that Arizona State game. I felt like we're motivated. That was a really good game for them. And there wasn't really a lot of terrible things that we had to say. Like we've said week in and week out, the defense did their job for the most part, but then the offense just couldn't prevail when they were needed. So it's another one of those things. I really just continue to say this, but it just feels like until they make some changes on who's making the calls on defense, that it's just never, it's something big has to happen if you want to see a big change.
You're exactly right. And we've heard Dave Aranda talk about it from time to time, really the last year or so, of we just didn't have the best approach in this game. And he'll take ownership, but it's got to change. And we heard some things last year about simplifying defenses for certain games where the defense looked better. Well, Dave was asked about it in his weekly press conference, and it's a bit of a long answer. It's about a minute, but he does not hold back with how he's felt about the defensive performance so far this year.
I really thought going into this last game that this was going to be an opportunity for us to play our best game, and just so disappointing that first half. I thought, whether it was the second half of SMU or it was the Samford game or it was the majority of the Arizona State game, you could see there's an improvement here, there's growth here. This play we didn't make, first week, and now we're making it, and now we're getting some momentum, some traction, and the only things that players and coaches and maybe their moms would notice or care about, And so we have to be able to really kind of put four quarters together to get get it to where we're on the other side of this. And obviously we failed, horribly to do that. And so we're right back at it again,
Failed horribly. That's not Cam Stewart, the podcaster. That's Dave Aranda, the head coach and defensive play caller of the Baylor Bears, saying we have failed horribly. And if you look at total defense in this conference, Wick Dog, 15th out of 16 teams. It's not great. The only team that's behind him, the only team that's behind anybody in any of these statistical categories, Oklahoma State, giving up 35 a game. Baylor just a hair under 29 points a game. You've got a heck of an offense, but you're putting them in a bit of a hole, in a bit of a mistake-free situation when you can't hold a team under 4 touchdowns. Even a team as bad as Oklahoma State, man. Like, you look at the offensive numbers, they're still the worst offensive team in this conference by far, actually. And you couldn't keep them off the board. 27 points, man. It's probably not going to get any easier this week because, we talk about a Kansas State team that's reeling a bit still at 2-3. It's the first time in 7 years they've played Baylor when they come in with a losing record. But Avery Johnson got a bunch of hype for a reason. He hasn't exactly lived up to it, but he's still been a good quarterback for them. And Dave talked about in the same press conference how much Avery Johnson can hurt them. Like, this is not feeling like good news coming into Kansas State week.
No, and you're looking at a Kansas State team that's been tested in a lot of ways, and I feel like they know that they're better than that and have really just had to try to prove that they can be. And I don't think Baylor wants to be the team that lets Kansas State show, yeah, we were kind of preseason favorites for a reason, right? Like,
what this is starting to feel like a little bit? We're talking about a quarterback who's not throwing the ball very well, but he's good with his legs. A team that's trying to prove that they could be a contender in the Big 12, and they come into Baylor, into Waco. Like, this is starting to sound a lot like the Arizona State buildup, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And
that was just starting to get it right a little bit more. The Arizona State was going away from healthy. Kansas State's actually getting healthy. It's eerily similar.
Yeah, I don't like it. It makes me nervous.
I don't like a team coming into Waco with something to prove. Right? I think is the main point, right?
Yeah, and you had mentioned Avery Johnson too. Like, that guy's just he plays with a chip. For sure,
he
always.
Is a player. Yeah, I've been critical in terms of him being a Heisman candidate, but he's still a player, man. He's a good player.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he's getting better.
He is. I don't know. It just, for Baylor to really, like, they're gonna have to do what you have to just all come together. Like, it's enough is enough. This will be week 6 of the football season, like almost halfway through the year. If you don't have it together now, like, what are we doing?
When's it coming?
It's week 1 or week 2, you get to make those excuses a little bit. And really, that's kind of a stretch because you do have all fall camp, you had all spring ball to kind of work out these kinks. But now that we're getting into this point of the season, if you can't lose another game. You got to finish this out and make a statement from week 6 going forward.
I'm giving Dave Aranda 9 wins. Sydney's saying 10. Got to get to 10. No, I mean,
mostly because I have a bet on it, but we're just gonna. I need that.
we all need a bit of that, don't we? But it would almost be, because I'm so cynical, it would almost be more frustrating if Baylor does start to turn it around, like at this point in the season, just like they did last year. Week 7 was actually when it happened last year, right after starting 2-4, because then you have to ask the question of, like, well, why aren't they ready to play at the beginning of the season? Like, let's theorize that they go on another winning streak like they did last year. You're just like, why can't we get that from the beginning when we've got a bunch of guys coming back? So it's Dave Aranda calling it a horrible failure so far. It's just not what you want to hear in week 5. I know they've had some injuries. We'll talk about some fill-ins, but it's not what you want to hear.
I do like the big words, though. We got a little A little spice, and we'll always take that.
Honest to a fault, Dave Aranda. Honest to a fault. I guess I could appreciate that as a loose term member of the media. Anyway, when we come back, let's talk about who won and who lost the Big 12 this week. The biggest losers coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode of Locked On Baylor is brought to you by Mazda. You know them, you love them, and they're moving the game forward. For those that believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, they keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is that jump pass touchdown to Matthew Klopfenstein, man. I loved it. As I've said so many times this week, they basically ran that play twice. One of them was a play action. One of them was Sawyer going into the line. I love that play. Defenses cannot cover Baylor's tight ends. It is an absolute cheat code, especially in the red zone. And that was as good as it's going to look. 2 times they went to a seam on a tight end from inside the 5-yard line. It was completely uncovered. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Now, here's the problem. So many people don't know what they've got going on in their financial accounts. No matter what it is, they're just not all the way up to date on it, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on the same laptop or phone that you're using to watch and listen to this podcast right now. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you to do all the heavy lifting. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDON, COLLEGE, Locked On College. Back here on a Wicker Wednesday on Locked On Baylor. It's the first of the month as well.
Yes.
So, Billy Joe Armstrong and Bone Thugs and Harmony. Wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Yeah. We're in October. It's about to get spooky around here. But spooky for some teams in the Big 12 already this week. We have got the biggest winners, but maybe more importantly to most of you listening, the biggest losers of the Big 12 weekend. Sydney Wicker, take it away. Who you got?
First of all, we really need to get some theme music under us when we do this.
We should. And maybe for October, we get a little spooky thing going. The guy who wrote the Monster Mash is from the town I live in right now.
Shut
So
up.
he's been dead for a long time, but maybe we can pull some strings. I don't know.
Wait, maybe that's your trivia question. Who wrote the Monster Mash?
Well, now
I couldn't answer it.
I could sometimes answer it, and I know for a fact where he's from. So maybe that's not a great look on my part. But we can try to rig up something for this. I think we can try.
Yeah, we need to. We gotta spook it up a little bit because some of these teams are looking a little scary right now. One thing that made me happy, and I'm happy to call them my biggest loser for, TCU. The game they had in the bag. They let Arizona State.
Week?
That was it last week? I can't remember.
I think it might have been.
They were my winner. No, I think they were my winner week 1.
That would make sense.
When they beat North Carolina.
Yeah. Crushed them. Yeah. All right. Yes, they lost a crucial one. They had it in the bag.
And I was like, what's going on? Because when I last checked, they were winning. And then all of a sudden I was like, and I didn't like that. I was like,
17-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they let Arizona State come back and do their thing. I think Arizona State's really finding a groove for them. And they're actually looking like they might live up to what we thought they might be at the beginning of the season.
Back-to-back weeks, Arizona State's played in one of those games where you say, okay, if they win this, like they're in the picture here. They're back like amongst the favorites. And they're 2-0 in those games, and they're only 2 conference games. Like it was kind of a soft sell of how tough it would be for them to climb back into it after the loss to Mississippi State. You know, we talked about Baylor's schedule to start the year. How about that for a first 2?
Yeah.
Big 12 games, an
I
upstart
also
TCU team, and
I
Baylor on the
think
road.
too, when you're looking at this Mississippi State team, they're not the team that won one game last year. Like, this is a pretty decent Mississippi State squad too. So that loss is looking worse not as bad each week, because Mississippi State taking Tennessee into overtime, a game that they honestly had, that they just let kind of crumble apart.
Yes.
So I don't know. I feel like Mississippi State's a lot better, which I don't think hurts them as bad now going into that, especially since that was the game they lost in the last couple seconds against Mississippi State. So TCU, my biggest losers. I think they should have won that game, hands down. So Baylor fans, round of applause, because you're welcome.
Please give it up. Give it up.
Kim, do you want to do your biggest loser, or do you want me to do my winner?
I could do my loser as well. And I'm going to be a little harsh here. I'm not going to lie, Sydney, because I don't think there's a ton of expectations on this team, but my biggest loser of the week is Colorado.
Fair.
Colorado, because again, it's not like they were picked to win the conference or anything, but they had a really big opportunity this past weekend. Home game, night game. If you win, it doesn't mean that you're among the elite like Arizona State does when they win, but it's if you beat a BYU team that is undefeated, that has played terrific defense, but certainly has some holes at skill positions, then you're thinking, if you're Dion, like this is a game we can get after them. And if we win this, that is going to open some eyes for some people in the last week in September to beat an undefeated team in your conference after a bad loss the week before. I think that was a really kind of nice opportunity for them to get a win that looks bigger than it probably will later on in the season. But BYU, they're still here, man. They just keep beating the teams in front of them. It's tough for me to sit here and critique BYU. It looks like they're a team you can get after with a quarterback who can't throw for 200 yards in the game, but they keep winning, man. They've got an unbelievable defense. So for me, it's Colorado who are feeling like, man, we missed an opportunity. And I think Colorado fans, whom I have not much sympathy for after the chants that went on at Folsom Field over the weekend, but I think Colorado fans are probably switching their minds to, this probably is going to be a long season after all.
Yeah, and talk about another game where Colorado was leading that one early on. Like it was looking good and things were in their favor from the beginning, and then just like only putting up 7 points. Like they put up nothing in the second quarter, 7 in the third, and then nothing in the fourth. Like you gotta have more than that.
It's tough to win games scoring one touchdown in the last 45 minutes of a game. It's real tough to win in this league.
It is.
You got a winner for us? You gotta lift our spirits a little bit.
We gotta hand out a trophy to somebody. Imaginary winner of the week. I think Utah had a great week. They're my winner. I liked I mean, they just dominated West Virginia, which we know West Virginia.
It's not going the right direction, is it?
They are where they are, and they are what we've seen. So, but I just felt like it was just another huge week for Utah. Honestly, really dominating that game on the road, 48 points, and then their defense holding Virginia to only 14. So I don't know. I thought that was a big win for them. They looked really good. With who did they lose to? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Utah lost to Tech.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like they needed to respond after that one, and I think this was a response. Big time in every way, and I think they're still a pretty legit team. So I think there are winners this week.
And that's kind of the other thing at the end there, right? Like they didn't play anybody before Tech, and so there is still out there trying to say like we're a good team. And I think those of us who have watched Utah this year, they do look better than last year. They still look like they've got some talent, and that was a step towards proving that over the weekend. My winner for the first time ever, Cincinnati Bearcats. My Big 12 winner of the week, maybe just the city of Cincinnati in general. The Reds sneak in the back door, going 40-40 in their last 80 games. They get in the MLB postseason. And here is Scott Satterfield. I'm still thinking about that prop bet of who will win more games in October, Terry Francona or Scott Satterfield. But so far, so good at the end of September for Cincinnati. They lose that first game of the season to Nebraska. They look competitive. They've won 3 in a row since, a couple of cupcakes in Bowling Green and Northwestern State, who's genuinely one of the worst college football teams at any level. But they go on the road against a Kansas team who still a lot of people feel pretty good about, and they get into a shootout with Kansas, and they take it over. And Brendan Sorsby's for real, man. Like, he is a top 5, top half quarterback in this league right now, which is saying something. That's not just like in a top half quarterback in this league is pretty good, but he's looking like a top 5, top 6 quarterback in this league. And they give up 34 points and they still win. That is the kind of luxury that Cincinnati hasn't had in a couple of years here, certainly under Scott Satterfield. So Cincinnati, can they be for real? Because this weekend, high noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central, they get to host number 14, Iowa State, in their barn on that really ugly, hideous campus. They get to host one of the teams that could absolutely win this conference. Big time confidence boost, I think, going into that game this weekend. That is a very, very tricky one in the Big 12, 11 a.m. Central time. It's going to be the same time as the Baylor game, so I know a lot of us won't be watching it, but that is a very tricky one in the Big 12.
That's one of those you flip on, like you're just flipping through the channels and you stop and you're like, oh, wait, what's going on here? I feel like that's going to be a good one.
And the hope is that, Baylor's got a nice lead, nice cushion, and you're, by the middle of the third quarter, I'm seeing my Twitter timeline and all the Baylor people are tweeting about a Cincinnati Iowa State game because it's a little bit closer. That's hopefully the case, right? That is hopefully the case. But Cincinnati, the winners for me this week. Who are they for you? Let us know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like, subscribe, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to tell you all about Baylor's future, okay? The guys who you're starting to see now who are going to be big cornerstone pieces for the future of this Bears defense. It's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, FanDuel. I don't know if they've got the prop bet yet on who's going to win more games in Cincinnati in October, Scott Satterfield or Terry Francona, but it's just my suggestion to them. But the NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. For me, it makes watching football even more exciting. You got a little something riding on the action. Maybe your heart's in Baylor, Kansas State, but you're keeping an eye on Cincinnati, Iowa State. I totally get that. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the app today and get started. One more time, that's FanDuel.com, and download the FanDuel app today. Today's episode is also brought to you by Square. And your favorite neighborhood spot runs on Square. There's those businesses that make the neighborhood, man. The places that become an extension of your home, your third place. The sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base. I'll be there tonight and yesterday night watching the Red Sox in the postseason. The spot where you've got the coldest beers and the best wings, or maybe it's that local chain that's been in your community for years. This is what brings people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Just like sports brings neighborhoods together. Whether it's the game day rituals, the best wings, or just being a part of a fan base that calls this place home, it's all run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood now. Coming back here on Locked On Baylor, Sydney Wicker of KCEN Channel 6 joins as she does every Wednesday. It's Wicker Wednesday. I'm Cam Stuart of ESPN Central Texas and the Cam Show on YouTube. Sydney, can I wax positive a little bit about this Baylor defense? Can I throw you a little positivity curveball?
I guess we're not going to be negative Nancy's all Wednesday long. Like, we're going to give the Locked On Baylors a little treat of positivity.
I try to throw in 1 or 2 positive segments a week or so.
We're branching out.
Yeah, just sprinkle it in there if I can. Obviously, one of the excuses we can use for this defense and why it's been a horrible failure. Sorry, not my words, just paraphrasing the head coach. Is that there have been some significant injuries. And I promise I'll get to the positive bit in a second. But when you look at the injuries that this team has had on the defensive side of the ball, your 2 linebackers that you brought in the transfer portal in Phoenix Jackson and Travion Barnes, Jackie Marshall's not been 100%. Carl Williams looks like he's going to play this week. He played a little bit against SMU, if I'm not mistaken, but he has been mostly out of the lineup. Like, how much stock do you take in that, it should be better, and some of these guys got hurt early in, the spring, but it's difficult.
It is hard. I mean, you always want to be healthy. That helps,
That's good. Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad thing to have all your guys back. And with just such veteran leadership on the offense, really, and then finally having some veterans on the defense who are able to be those voices and to help an area that was really struggling last year and has been struggling this year. Like, you need those voices sometimes. But that's just not what Baylor has. And it's next man up mentality and really needing to see new faces take that step in leadership and being able to be those voices and to make a difference and a change, because something has to happen.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it needs to happen soon. And one of the benefits, as I get back to the positive side, or get to the positive side for the first time, one of the benefits is you've had some guys who wouldn't normally get the playing time that are out there. Camoran Morgan is one, a freshman. Kylan Reed is one. But a guy who Dave talked about in fall camp is a guy who's making plays out there right now and was doing it against Oklahoma State. Here's what Dave Aranda had to say about Kaleb Burns.
He's playing a lot right now with Travion and Phoenix both out, and so Kaleb is very talented. He's very smart. He has a mind for football, and so stuff will kind of come. Football comes easy to him, and so it's a language that he kind of, his appetite is strong. He eats it up.
He eats it up. I like that. Football comes easy to him. I like when football comes easy to a guy. But looking at it kind of as a broader picture here, Sydney, obviously Kaleb Burns really, I thought, had an excellent game the other day, and he's kind of getting thrown into the fire. Is there a silver lining with the fact that, you're on a heater recruiting right now for this class, and last year's class, who guys who are filtering in as true freshmen, are starting to get some shine on both sides of the ball? Kaleb Burns on defense. Caden Knighton had his best game of the season doing it on offense. With all that's kind of been bumps and bruises through 5 games, how much of a positive does that have to be for Baylor fans to see some of the future kind of stepping up?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said it best, they're the future. They're the next guys. They're the ones that, you're going to be rooting for, hopefully, the next couple of years. Yeah. Kaleb Burns, just such a great talent. He was a great talent just coming out of high school alone. Yeah. One of the best linebackers in the entire nation, a 4-star guy. Like, he knows ball.
He knows some ball, man. Ball. Yeah. And there was some drama around that too. Remember, he was originally committed to Tech and then flipped to Baylor before last season, and then was getting kind of the name we don't say much around here, the Austin Novosad treatment, where all of a sudden all the big programs were after him. I remember there was a picture from his Instagram story flying to Oregon, to Eugene, when Oregon played Ohio State in that top 5 matchup last year. And I was like, oh, it's not good. Like, as a Baylor fan, that's kind of how you have to feel, right? Like, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. He's about to see a top 5 matchup and 60,000 people in that stadium. And it's just not a great look. I think Oregon was number 1 at that time. They were for most of the season. There were some signs from the student section at Baylor, like commit, Kaleb Burns, stay home. And it's a guy that Dave's been talking about. I think he's going to be a huge part of the future of this team.
For sure.
This program.
I'm excited for him too. I think it was just a little taste of what we all got to see from him. I think he really has such a high ceiling. But just like going back to what you said, having these young guys step up, somebody has to right now. And when your name gets called, if you want to stay out there, you got to prove it. And I feel like between what we've seen from Caden and now Kaleb having a good game, I'm excited to see who else they could maybe unleash if needed.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, this is going to sound very doom and gloom, and I actually don't mean it to be, but
This is a positivity segment, Cam?
it's gonna get it's gonna get positive. I promise. Because when we only looked at this year, right? But if you dared look at next year, you're like, oh man, we're losing a lot. We're losing a lot of talent going into next year, and by no means do we ever want injuries, like, at all. It could be something that we look back on and say that in a weird way helped us a little bit by getting guys like Kaleb Burns and Caden Knighton, some snaps early. Kamora Morgan getting some snaps early. And then, it also will help that Dawson Pendergrass will be back next year. Lewis Brown IV going through a red shirt will be back next year. Phoenix Jackson and Travion Barnes will be back next year. Like, it's certainly not the way you want to go about it, right? It's not the way, but there's some silver lining there too. And when you looked at the future of this program, it was still a bit uncertain because you would have been looking at a lot of veteran guys playing this year and leaving this year, and a lot of young, talented guys probably having to be thrown into roles right away. We saw that in 2023. It did not go well. It did not look good at all. But maybe, just maybe, the positivity here, Sydney, is we're finding the silver lining. Silver linings playbook here.
I'm still going for they're going to win out the rest of the season so I can win my money.
Dude, it is possible. and like, I guess to take a second here, like, that is possible. Have I been excited about what's happened in this season so far? Not most of it, but they're still 3-2. Like, they could easily, I won't say easily, nothing's easy in this conference, but it's very possible that they still go 9-3 or 10-2. And if you're talking about that, that's Arlington 10-2, even 9-3. Like, that's getting to the Big 12 championship game. And once you are there, you have every shot in the world to be in the college football playoff. And I don't know how much further we go past that, past that benchmark, but that's a hell of an accomplishment, man. Yeah. And so, hate to sound like Dave in the past or maybe Aaron Boone a little bit, but it's all in front of them. Like, their goals are still there. Then the pessimist in me, the other Jiminy Cricket, Goth Jiminy Cricket, gets in my head and was like, but what if you won that Arizona State game? And I'm like, shut up. We didn't.
You have the devil and the angel on your shoulder going back and forth right now, and you just need to flick the devil right off. Tell him to shut up.
Man. I really do. I need the positive guiding spirits of Baylor football. But anyway, Sydney, thanks so much for joining once again. Wicker Wednesdays, always a highlight of the week here on Locked On Baylor. Thank you guys for tuning in, making it your first listen today and every day, and making it the #1 Baylor football show on YouTube. Appreciate the heck out of that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about the new guys coming in, Big 12 winners and losers of the week, and your thoughts on the defense, because I know everyone's got thoughts on the defense. I love hearing them. Let me know in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next edition of your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.